Welcome to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott. Join us every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Learn more about the Experience community at our website, local.theexperience.video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Experience is brought to you each week by these great sponsors. Present Gifting believes relationships are important. Moments matter. Join the early VIP access list at presentgifting.com. Jim Coleman Insurance, personal and business lines of insurance. Call the office at 541-753-2500 and learn more online at jimcoleman.com. Capital Mortgage Source. Your trusted mortgage professional is just a click away. Learn more at capitalmortgagesource.com and call the office at 541-829-8042. Join Gross and Hadley supporting Kicking Cancer, empowering individuals and their families to thrive in their cancer journey. Learn more at kicking-cancer.org. And now let's get on with the show. Here we go.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to The Experience Live with Russ and Scott on this Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 a.m. Texas Standard Time. We are here every week for you, for your viewing and listening pleasure. That's right. Not only do we go live, but this sits on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook after we're done. So you can keep watching it forever, and it converts to audio podcast on all of the major audio platforms. So many different ways. And we just encourage you to engage today, to just like and share. We just really would appreciate that. And Scott, I'm so glad to be here with you as always. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, man, it was great. I got to go to a celebration of life for my auntie in Sedona, visit with my uncle and a lot of family. People came from all over, and it was just a fabulous family time.
Yeah, and the weather you had was great.
Yeah, it was exactly like it is in Texas. Crazy enough. It was mid-70s during the day and high 40s, low 50s at night.
Yes, this is a good time of year to be in those places. You don't want to be there in August, but this time of the year is great.
Yeah, it's just it's pretty spectacular. Anyone that's seen that northern Arizona, those red and white rock formations, it's very inspiring. Just got to enjoy sunrise and sunset and see a few animals. If people go to my Instagram account, d.scottsmith, you can see some of those pictures there, including a pair of coyotes that I got to video right off the back deck.
Wow, that is so cool. So cool. Well, we're glad that you had a good trip, even though that's not always the best circumstances to go on. It's still great to honor your family and to be there. So that's so great. Well, you know what? Today we got so many great things going on, but this week, man, there's so much happening. What exciting things are happening for you coming up?
Well, I tell you, it's just been, we're still following up with PodFest. Hounds of Business is very active. I encourage people, go to Hounds of Business, one of the most supportive communities that's out there. So I'm meeting with a few folks from there. And then our Waco networking group tonight. We've got the men's group singing this weekend. And so I'll be going to rehearsal with them. I play bass. So it's just a lot of great things. It's fun to get away. But I tell you, I love being here and involved in all of the community activities.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, you're doing so much, Scott. I can hardly keep up with you, but I'm really looking forward to. I've got things. I'm cramming things in here for the next couple of weeks because coming up later this month, heading over to Ireland to see our great friends in Ireland. Wendy has put together a net walking event for me when I'm there. So there's going to have a whole bunch of people coming through at Phoenix Park, which we're staying right close to. I did learn something very interesting. Scott, never have been to Dublin, Ireland before. When I picture Phoenix Park, I think we're staying next to this little park, with swings and slides and maybe a couple restaurants and coffee shops, only to find out not only is it a park, it's bigger than Central Park in New York. And it also houses the president's house, like the White House, the U.S. Embassy, and all kinds of stuff. So it's kind of a little park. So just because you're next to the park doesn't mean. I thought I would just walk over to this event like it's no big deal, and then I had to figure out what part of the park I was next to. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to that. But that's really kind of crunched up all the stuff that I'm doing now, planning, getting ready to go. And so really excited about that because it's an opportunity to see some amazing friends of ours, Scott, that we've worked with and collaborated with and been blessed by in person, and be able to give them a big hug.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always take advantage of those opportunities to meet people when you're out traveling, or plan a trip so that you can see those people intentionally. It's
Right.
You're going to have a good time, and as they say, enjoy the crack. And
Yes,
you'll learn all about that when you get there.
I'm very excited. And my next trip is to Texas when I get back. So we're planning
All
on
right,
that.
sounds
So,
good. Yeah.
yes. Well, Scott, listen, I think I am so excited. Brad Miller's with us today, and Brad is not only a great friend, but I've been on his cancer comedy podcast, and we also got to see him in person, live and in person at Podfest, which was so great. And he does some amazing things, which we're going to let
Mhm.
him tell all about. And I think we should just get him in the room and get it started.
Absolutely.
Okay, but before we do that, I forgot. Tell everybody about the local.theexperience.video.
You can learn a lot about what's going on. Go to local.theexperience.video. That's a website where we've got links to our YouTube channel and Russ's channel, my channel, our LinkedIn. You can go to books that we've got there, local.theexperience.video, or you can go to local or just go to theexperience.video, and that'll take you to our YouTube channel. But go to local.theexperience.video and learn more. And there's a little button there. If you like what we're doing, then you can click and hit the tip jar, because we do have some expenses that we pay for. And I will tell you, the one thing that we invest in that is not an expense, and that is Ever, who does a lot of work in the background. She's in the Philippines, but she is a full member of the team. I don't call her a virtual assistant because she is a real person.
She is a real person and a team member. She does a lot more than I do, I can tell you that. So I appreciate her more than she knows. So with that, we're going to get Brad in the room, get this party started. Morning, Brad. How you doing?
Wow. Good to be with you. I'm finally with the cool kids. Man, Russ.
Well, we're cool now that you're here.
What a privilege, guys.
Well, we're so glad to have you here. And what a blessing it was. First thing I saw you at Podfest, you were sitting in your Santa outfit. And that was a great way to meet you in person.
Yes.
But listen, give everybody a little bit of insight. Who in the world is Brad? What are you up to?
Oh, man. Well, thank you for the opportunity here, guys, to be on the experience. My name is Brad Miller, and I live in a suburb of Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'm a retired pastor, retired about 4 years ago. And a month or so after I was retired as a pastor, I was diagnosed with aggressive form of prostate cancer. And that led me in a pathway to do what I'm doing now, which is eventually the Cancer and Comedy podcast, which you can find at cancerandcomedy.com. And that's led me into some other things that I do. I do cancer coping coaching, and I've got a book coming out in the fall about my experiences of navigating and coping with cancer myself. And so that's what I basically involved with. I've got about 120 or so episodes of Cancer and Comedy podcasts up with my co-host Deb Creer. And we have a lot of fun with that. We interview great people like Russ Hedge, who's been on our podcast, and some of your other guests here. And we've had a lot of fun with that. And we look to continue to spread the news of to cope for cancer impacted people and people with any adversity, to cope with hope and humor. That's what we're all about.
I love it. One of the things we talk about is, out in the business world, you want to differentiate yourself. from the rest of the people out there. And somehow you were able to take being a pastor, going through cancer, comedy, and put those all together. How did you decide to do that? I mean, the cancer, you didn't have a choice, but you did have a choice on how you put these things together to help folks out.
Well, let me tell you the story on that, a really brief version of what can be a really long story. Basically, I could write a whole book about this. Basically, when I was diagnosed with, was first flagged for cancer a month after retirement, and my wife had big plans, travel, and all that kind of thing. A few months later, I got the final word right 2 days after Christmas of 2022 that I had an aggressive form of prostate cancer, and I went into immediate funk with that and kind of felt sorry for myself. And then a few days after Christmas, we got together with our two granddaughters to do kind of a grandparents' day with our five. One granddaughter's 5, the other one was 2. And I was kind of being the grumpy old man grandpa. And of course, my first reaction to the cancer was to kind of laugh to keep from crying, and kind of a nervous laugh. But they started to giggle. I said something dumb or funny when we were having lunch at a McDonald's, and they started giggle fit that got the whole place laughing. And I suddenly realized that, I want to, I can choose whether I'm either the grumpy old man grandpa, or like one of my granddaughters said, Grandpa, you're the fun grandpa. So, because I made him laugh doing something dumb or silly. It had something to do with French fries up the nose or something like that. But anyhow, they convinced me of that. And I had a vision right there, you guys, of seeing my 5-year-old and my two-year-old granddaughters. I had a vision of them 20 years in the future, going through graduation and weddings and so on. And I knew I wanted to be there for that. So I knew I had to do some things regarding that. So I took my experiences as a pastor. I dealt with a lot of people with cancer and other things in my 43 years of pastoring. I have a doctoral degree in transformational leadership, so I kind of have some academic background there. And I also, I've always done a little fun things with comedy, little stand up here and there and that kind of a thing. And just a big fan of Steve Martin and other comedians. I put all those things together, got together with a person with a similar mindset named Deb Creer, I was going through prostate cancer. She's going through breast cancer. We kind of put our minds together, and we created 3 years ago now, the Cancer and Comedy podcast. We've had a lot of fun with that. And so they put out in the world to turn your grim into a grin. It's part of what we want to say.
Well, I want to tell you, I love all that you're about and all that you're doing. You and we connected so quickly because we have so much in common. I mean, we've both been pastors. We both have had cancer. We both have gone through so many similar experiences, except I am not yet a grandpa. I have friends. I don't know what's going on, but I have friends who have 15 grandchildren that are my age. And I am no grandchildren yet, but I'm rooting for my son and daughter-in-law to do that soon. But anyway,
got to get to work on that, don't you? So yeah,
I know I've got to work on that. But I just love the fact that you are focusing in areas of your life where you really are passionate, around cancer, but you're putting a fun spin on that. And I think that's important, because knowing what it's like going through cancer, you need a little humor, a little smiles, a little love in your life when you're going through those things. Tell us how that all came about, because when a lot of times people look at that and they think cancer and comedy.
Yeah, they don't go together, really. Well, when it kind of comes up, the whole image of cancer and comedy came to me, and I kind of workshopped it with a few other friends of mine in the podcast community. And the idea here, you're familiar with kind of the theatrical mask. You've got the tragedy mask and you've got the comedy mask, kind of two sides of life. And so cancer represents tragedy. And, we all go through adversity. And cancer, by the way, could be physical health, but cancer can also be anything that eats you alive. It can be an emotional thing. It could be a relationship breaking up. It could be losing your business. It could be COVID and a number of things that give you adversity. Then the comedy is how we make a choice and how we live with that. We can choose if we're going to go down a death spiral or a death scroll type of thing, or if we're going to choose to live our best life to the end of our life, whether that's a few weeks, a few years, or decades, and to give and have some fun with it. And my granddaughters kind of gave me that choice. Are you going to be the grumpy old man? Or are you going to be the fun grandpa. And I decided it's not about denying. It's not about, about denying the reality of your cancer or other bad things, but it's about choosing to live your life to the fullest every day of your life. So that was the attitude adjustment I had to have. I also got turned on to some scriptures. There's a scripture I came up in my personal devotional life, uh, Proverbs 17:22. I came across this: a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones.
Mm.
So that was important to me, because that choice, a cheerful heart or the crushed bones. And so that's what I wanted to do, and decided to do something about it and to lean into it. I have a background in podcasting, been podcasting for about 15 years, and radio off and on for 50 years now, since high school days. And so it leaned into that. I've had a lot of fun. It's given me opportunities to meet guys like you as well, and women and other people who've been inspirational to me, and to have a voice that can get out there. Because right now, I know with the podcast I have and other things, opportunities, being able to get this message out there to cope with hope and humor with the system that I've worked out and the book I'm writing about this, which I believe can be very helpful to people.
I love that scripture. It's one to keep close by.
Yes.
I think everyone should have some scripture. I always say, for me, my life verse is 2 Corinthians 11:1, where Paul writes, "Bear with me in a little foolishness." Oh, but indeed you already are.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned a couple of things, coaching, so people can work with you, and this is a one-on-one type coaching.
Yes, one-on-one, and in the future, I think my co-host and I are possibly going to be doing some team coaching, group coaching. Right now, one-on-one. Yes.
Well, I want to ask you about the book. So, how did you decide to write the book? You said it's coming out in the fall, which is going to be very quick.
Yeah.
In today's world. So, tell us about the book and what people can expect.
Well, I'm one of those guys who's had about a dozen books in my brain for about 25 years. And so in the last few months, I decided to put together my experiences doing the podcast, dealing with people who have cancer or other adversities in life. And I developed my own system of helping people to deal with that. And then I decided it's time to put this into a book form. And so I have I call it the ACTS, the ACTS system, to help people deal with this situation, and decided the good way of doing this, put in the book. And I've got a mini course that I offer that's about it too. And I'll just unpack it briefly for you, because that's what I put in the book as the basis of my coaching too. ACTS, ACTS A stands for taking action. So you can get stuck in life, but you got to take action. In my case, it was getting off my rear end and getting a podcast going and some other things of that nature, and taking care of your medical situations that you need to do. That's the A. The C is to connect. And I believe connection takes on two levels of that: connecting with a higher power, that's your spiritual life, and then connecting with others. So that's when I connect with you guys like you. And I have we developed a community of people who support one another in the cancer and comedy community. And so that's engaging with other people. That's kind of the emotional part of it. The T in the word ACTS is to think strategically. And so that's how you strategize. That's your daily disciplines. That is your other things you do in life. If you're putting together a podcast, for instance, you got to do certain things strategically. And so that's what that's about. That's the cognitive part of it. And the S in the word ACTS is to serve others with love. And that is the love part of it. That's who you're doing it for. I do this not for myself so much, but to serve other people and to help other people. So we've done, like, for instance, besides podcasts, we've had a comedy cancer fundraising comedy show that we've done here locally. And we do a yearly podcasting event, and the proceeds of those things go to help with cancer research and things like this, and to highlight people who are doing something we like to call it meaningful media, which is doing things that have some level of deeper meaning of that. So the book is basically my ACTS plan, putting it out for people to use, and we'll have subsequent courses and workbooks to go with it as well.
There we go. I'm going to try that again. I really love that. And one thing I was tapping into was your the connection part, because
Yeah.
I think going through cancer, it is so vitally important to be connected to people, not only that are going through the same thing, but that are lifting and supporting each other. And
Yes.
you need that. You need that during the journey. And I love what again, I love what you've got going, the comedy, lifting people, because we need to smile,
Yeah.
laugh, and have joy, the joy of the Lord, even in the midst of what seems like just horrible circumstances, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
that's really what gets us through.
Well, I believe you got to deal with the reality. You deal with the reality. You don't deny that. You deal with the reality as tough and as difficult as is, and you still then choose to move forward in faith. That's the choice we make. And then your
Right.
attitude about it, that's the joyful part. You choose to live that with joy. So we call it coping with hope and humor. Those three words are important. Coping is kind of the process here that you get under. And the hope is kind of what we're after, kind of the goal that we have here. And then the humor part is your kind of your attitude about it. And so we believe all three of those elements are important. So that's what we do.
Yeah. That is so great.
This is really good. And you talked about being on radio 50
Yeah.
years ago and on and off. How did that all come about?
Oh, it's it's kind of interesting that I actually have my 50th high school reunion coming up in a couple months here. So we get ready for that. And my high school classmates asked me to pray and things like that. But it goes back to high school. I took a broadcasting class in high school, got me on the local radio then. So often I was in radio in college. I had a Christian rock radio show in the early days of Christian rock. All throughout my ministry, I would often connect up with local radio stations to do some sort of a programming, sometimes cutting commercials, sometimes doing some sort of religious programming. And then about 15 years ago, I discovered podcasting and got into that. And initially started with doing, my son was captain of his lacrosse team, and I did kind of a coach's show with that in podcasting when no one else knew about podcasting, or it seemed like that way at least. And then it led to this. So I've had a few other podcasts that I've done, church related and other things I've done over the last 15 years. The last 3 years, I've kind of focused on two primary podcasts for me, which is the cancer and comedy one. I also have a daily Bible podcast called the Voice of God Daily, which is my take on the scripture readings. Then in Christmas time, I do a Santa Claus podcast, which is a lot of fun too. So I just kind of leaned into it. This is my thing I do in retirement.
Well, and I just got to make a quick mention of Santa, because I love that, because when we first met in person, you were Santa, and you make a great Santa, by the way. And yes, and you got a Santa laugh even.
Well,
but I love the fact that people really tie into that in the holidays, right?
oh yeah. Well, in fact, that still goes back to my grandchildren, my two grandchildren. I talk about them a lot, but anyhow, Christmas time a few years ago, I have my beard. Well, I have a white beard and so on. And, I'm kind of a big guy. And so that my two grandchildren, hey, you look like Santa Claus. So I kind of leaned into it and had some fun one Christmas time with them, just being Santa Claus around Christmas time for my grandkids. So I started for 4 years in a row, every year, every day between Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day, I do a live stream as Santa Claus, where I tell Santa Claus stories and have the letters to Santa. And that has a theme too. It's about be good for goodness sakes. And so, believe it or not, I have people from all over the world who connected with me on that. And it's a lot of fun.
I was thinking about Santa when you're a kid, something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And I just see this with the hope aspect that
Yes.
you're talking about. So expand a little bit more on hope and how you help people, I will say, recover that when they're going through these trials.
It's so important, Scott, that you mentioned this, because I truly believe this with all my heart, that we are basically in an epidemic of isolationism. We're in an epidemic of people being crushed by situations in the world, politics, economics, any number of things. And they're isolated and they're depressed and things like that. And I went through that in my first week or two of my cancer diagnosis. Also, I was kind of going through it in retirement. I was kind of looking for something to do, that period of time when you retire, for some people, that's a time of depression too. And I kind of put it in the metaphor. I am a prostate cancer patient survivor. And I kind of put it in terms of what I was thinking and dealing with in terms of prostate cancer. And so then I kind of responded to those. So I'll go through those real briefly with you. When I was going through, I call it the 4 I's. The first I is insanity. That's confusion. You kind of don't know what to do. The second I is incontinence, which is something you do, unfortunately, in prostate cancer, which is losing control. You feel like you lose control of your life, literally lose control of your body. But a lot of us feel like we've lost control. That's the incontinence. Impotence, which is something we deal with in prostate cancer, which is losing power, not just sexual power, but you kind of lose power in your life. If you felt like you've lost that, that's that sense of impotence. I'm no longer potent in life, no longer have value. And insolence is the 4th I, which is kind of being mad at the world. Poor me, what's happened to me? So that's kind of the stuff I was going through personally. And I knew inherently I was not a very fun guy. I was in this funk of these 4 I's, and I had to do something about it. And that's when I began to kind of process it, because that's kind of how I do things. Begin to read, pray, and do the other things regarding this. And that's when I came up with the ACTS process, which is kind of response to the other. So I'm not sure if that addresses totally your statement there, Scott, but I believe that that's what I've been doing.
We lost your audio, Russ.
I just got to say, Brad, I'm going to get this right yet. I just got to say, Brad, that I love how you've put your energy and your focus into the things that you're experiencing in your life. And I think here on The Experience, we are all about that. And I want to tell people, this is how you make it through tough situations in life. Engage in life, engage in your experience, and find something positive to do in the midst of that. I always say life happens and then you choose every day, right?
The choice is the key thing, because that's on us. God gives us resources. We can have other resources of friends and academic resources and any, podcast and live streams and others, but still we choose how we're going to live our life. And so I've chosen to try to live my life to the fullest at the end of my life, and to invest myself in other people to serve them best that I can.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, we could talk forever, Brad. You're amazing. Appreciate you. But guess what? The show's winding up. So I've got to be the responsible host. And I want to hear what just kind of put a bow on things, wrap things up, and give us your gold nugget of today's conversation, what you really want people to remember. And then tell us how we get in touch with you, because I know people are going to want to find out about Santa.
Well, I would kind of wrap it up in this. I developed my own I call it my personal cancer coping credo, which is just one line. And I'll just read that to you real quick here. I will not let cancer define me. I will leverage cancer to refine my life to the better in my relationships, and to drive me forward in my remaining days to fulfill the mission of healing through hope and humor. And so that's what I do. And I have this by my desk and I read it every day. And that's what I lean into. And that's what I wrote my book about, basically. And so what I'm doing then is try to add value to others. Redefine, or do not be defined by cancer or anything else. You refine it and refine it as well. So in that process, I want to offer a gift to your listening audience if I can. Can I do that?
Please.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a short 5-lesson audio course for people. It's basically about the ACTS plan that I have. Each audio is about 5 to 10 minutes long. And if anybody wants to get that, you just head over to my website, cancerandcomedy.com/free. And it's there for you. And if you also get on my mailing list there on the website, you're going to be among the first in line when my book comes out in the fall. And I'm going to put some special deals together for that. The name of the book is based on my experience I told you earlier. It's called Dancing at My Granddaughter's Wedding, which is that vision I had in the McDonald's there after Christmas.
Perfect. We'll make sure we get all of that up there. In fact, there it is right there. cancerandcomedy.com/free. And boy, I want to tell you, Brad, we appreciate you so much today for being here, being part of this. And we're going to have you back on sometime because you're so much fun to talk to. But appreciate
You got to plan
you.
something with the book release.
Oh yeah, that'll be
Yes.
coming in the fall. Let's work with that. What a thrill to be on the experience with the cool kids, Russ and Scott. Love it.
Well, we appreciate you too. So thankful you're here. We're going to say goodbye to you on screen, but hang tight in the green room till we get wrapped up. All right.
Thanks to your audience too, my friends.
Thanks, Brad. See ya.
The cool
Wow.
kids. You know, we're the cool kids because, as we always say, we have the most remarkable people on the planet as our
We
guests
do.
on the show. And so we're cool by association.
There you go. And that's why everybody wants to go to the experience.video and subscribe to our YouTube page today, because we have the most remarkable guests and people like Brad that have so much value. And so, boy, I tell you, please subscribe today. Our YouTube page is growing. We want you to be part of our community, but also go to local.theexperience.video for all the information about Scott and I. We would greatly appreciate that as well. And just so thankful for you, our community, because without you, we don't have a show, right, Scott?
You know, it's all about the people. I love the comments that are going in, the people who watch this, that share this, that are part of the experience community. But we're a part of other communities like the Hounds of Business, the Global Tea Break, Perspectives on Cancer, Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer. These are communities where you can surround yourself, as we say, surround yourself with those who will not let you fail.
That's right. Exactly. And I appreciate that so much. In fact, if I remember correctly, I used that quote in my book, Life Happens and Then You Choose, because Scott, you are so full of wisdom. I mean, we know you're full of something, but you're so full of wisdom that I appreciate you so much. So, well, listen, everybody, we're here at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 a.m. Texas Standard Time, every week on The Experience Live with Russ and Scott, with the most remarkable guests. Please join us every week. Share this with your friends. Don't forget, after we're done live, this sits on LinkedIn and YouTube forever and Facebook for 30 days. Then it converts to audio podcast. So if you don't have time to watch, you have time to listen. And so you can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio. You can listen so many places, all the major podcast platforms. Please, please, please join in and join us wherever it works for you. We appreciate you so much. Like, share, and comment wherever your favorite platform is. And until next week, I think that's about it. Scott, you got any last comments?
I'm just going to say, book your tickets now to visit with Russ in Ireland coming up in a couple weeks.
Yes, looking forward to that. If you're in the Ireland area, please come to the net walking event, and love to see you there. Until next week, enjoy life and enjoy
the experience.
There you go.
Thanks for tuning in to The Experience Live with Russ and Scott. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.